Thanks for staying with us. So, in the spirit of hashtag Black Lives Matter, our lawmakers in Lagos State House of Assembly have begun the move to rename colonial sites, monuments. According to the reports we have, the motion was sponsored by the Deputy Majority Leader of the House, calling on Babajide Sanwo-Olu to direct Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture to liaise with the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice to look at the listed sites, Prevention Law 2015, with the view of removing all vestiges of the slave trade and colonialism. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with this? You can join us later. But first, we're going to have joining us is the Honourable House of Representatives, Noheem Adams, the Deputy Majority Leader of the House. He's going to be joining us from the House of Assembly, Lagos State, actually. He'll be joining us right now on the phone. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good to have you, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I would come to you in a moment, but I'd like to hear the ladies' views first on the issue of hashtag Black Lives Matter. Do you think it's a good idea for Lagos State to begin to pull down all the colonial statues we have within Lagos State? Do you agree? Before I come to the Honourable, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I think anything that represents, there are some things that represent that time, and the truth is at that time, the story that we have is that we had white people come here, oppress us, bring us down for their own material gain. So it makes sense that now all over the world where black people are standing up for their rights and saying, see, we recognize what you did to us many years back, and we're at a place, or the world is at a place where we recognize slavery and colonization was a crime against humanity. Secondly, I think Lagos State already does things with changing of names. I think the Kingsway Road before, I think it's changed now. Many of the places in Ikoyi, like Bordelon and places like that, they all have different local names. But that is on government side. I want to take it to Nigerians one-on-one. Maybe you should start thinking about the colonial names that you are bearing and the colonial names that we are giving our children, one step at a time, because you can tell them about what the government is doing on the outside, but also when you have a conversation with them one-on-one, what does your name represent? Where does it come from? If you have a native name, you can say Oba, what's that Benin?
Oba Tokwe.
No. Ovaram.
Yes.
You know, that's actually a slight on me. I should know these names. I should be able to call them the way I would call Christopher Columbus, because I would go to school and the history would be about American history, about those who came and discovered River Niger and everything that were already in our country. So if we start with our names and the places around us, then we're teaching our children the importance.
A whole lot. But I don't agree with pulling down the statues.
Okay.
I don't think that that's the most important thing to do to address the issue of our history. I feel the statues should be there. I feel that we should educate ourselves to understand that it is not a monument to be proud of, but a monument to remind us of our past, and so we don't go back there. Because what we suffered there was physical slavery, but we're now suffering economical slavery from this Western world. But if we don't acknowledge what it means to be totally free, then we just pull down the statue, but we haven't re-educated our minds. And so we're still enslaved in many other ways.
But don't you think it's symbolic to do so?
It might look symbolic. It's the easiest thing. It's like cutting off the fruits. But if the tree is still firmly planted, then you haven't dealt with anything.
Then
so we can easily just plaster it. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just an emotional reaction, because we have more problems, we have deeper problems than just taking down statues. Okay, the statues are there for a reason, for just like a reminder of what has happened. But fast forward from that reminder of what has happened, what is happening now? How are we taking care of our own people? How are we making sure that we are not enslaving our own people? Because in as much as we claim that they came here to enslave us, when they got here, they met slave trade and they were helped. We played a major role in assisting them sell our people. So we should be looking at, for me, I think I'm also looking looking at the cost implication of pulling down all of these statues and all of that. What do we replace it with? Do we have the money right now? We need money for a lot of things. We need to make sure that our schools are working. We need to make sure that our hospitals are working. We need to make sure that things are going well. By the time Nigerians are proud to say, I'm a Nigerian or I'm a Lagosian and all of that, all those things will fall into place.
Let me then go to our guest, because the mover of this motion himself, Honourable Noheem Adams, is our guest. Sir, you heard the ladies. What are your thoughts on their views concerning pulling down these structures? And also, why did you think it was necessary to move this motion in the House?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning once again.
Morning,
and
sir.
thanks for having me. Well, as you can see what is happening in the whole world today, the death of George Floyd has really triggered what is happening in the whole world today. And it has really revolutionized the whole world. As you can see, the protest that is going all over the world, in UK, in US, and all that. What we are saying is that Black Lives Matter. We the blacks, we are more superior than the white. We must have that at the back of our mind. You see, we must not continue to live the history of the people that dehumanized our people. They have maltreated our people. Like, let me give you an instance. There is a Mobi royal family in Marina today. If you get there today, you will see how our forefathers were changed. You will see how their mouths were clipped. This is not a good history. We have to tell a good history. Now, this is a building in Marina, which is called Mobi family in Marina. What we are saying, we are not saying that we should pull down the building, but the building itself must be renamed in a way that will tell our people a good history about ourselves. Nigerians are good working people. Nigerians are people of honesty. Nigerians are people of integrity. But what we are saying is Black Lives Matters. You understand? Yeah. So I think the motive behind this motion is the fact that we are trying to call on the African Union to nominate a notable committee to look at the agitations of the late MKO Abiola for the reparation of our artifacts that were carted away by these so-called colonialists. And the compensation must be paid to the African continent. Let me give you an instance. In Britain, there is a man called Edward Costin. His statue was pulled down by the Britons. This is a man that took our people as a slave. About 8 million people were took away from Africa. 8 million people through this Edward Costin. You understand? This is about, and if people in Britain who come up with a protest and remove that statute, if the British authority who come out and go to their museum to remove a statue over there, how much more we that were maltreated here in Nigeria? Our forefathers have been maltreated, and it is high time that we write our history. They are not telling us our history. We have people that have really fought for this. We are not saying that it is all the names that we must remove. Right. Let me give you an instance. This Bernard Bodilon, this is a man that led the conference that led to our independence. All these names, Bernard Bodilon, can still be reserved. But there are some names that should be removed. Let me give you an instance. There's a place in Badagry called the Point of No Return. There's a Vilekete slave trade market in Badagry. There's a Vilekete museum. You see, there are some names that we need to change. We need to make our people to understand that life matters, and we are more superior than the white.
All right.
So, sir, I agree with you on many things, but there are a few things that I disagree with you, and which is the foundation in which we Nigerians have to do this. What should our own story be? I understand the American story, everybody's pulling down statues in America, but I want us to make this our story. Let Nigerians understand why they're doing this for themselves. And I think the major problem for us is that we need to talk about our history more. We need to discuss our history in schools. We need to know our stories before colonization. So the problem is, I definitely agree with you. Anything that represents colonization at that time, most of the things that represent it should be taken down. And anything that our children can look up to and see and understand their origin and what their ancestors have done for them. So they have that sense of, confidence of where you come from. I don't want our children to think it's about a George Floyd in America. We can empathize, we can walk alongside them, but our own story of Africa needs to be told, and that is what we should base this upon.
Oh. Yes. Sir, I would want to ask you now, what is the implication, or how does this move affect 20 million Nigerians, 20 million Lagosians right now? How does it affect the food that we eat, the fuel that we are talking about that has just been increased, the tax, the VAT that has been increased, the electricity tariff that will likely be increased? How does this affect us as a whole? Because the common man does not understand all of these monuments, and they want to see a good life and a good standard of living. How does this particular move affect us now?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, you want to agree with me that Lagosians and Nigerians, they are hardworking people. They leave their house very early in the morning to go to their work. You understand? And they come back late in the night. You want to agree with me that this is the high time that we give them this support, a sense of belonging, to show to them that we are more superior. You understand? They need to be encouraged. Now, what I'm trying to say now, if we are to rewrite our history, then we write it in such a way that to suit our own history. Then we'll come up with our own cultural heritage. And when we come up with our own cultural heritage, there are some areas that we'll preserve, that will bring more revenue generation to the state. For example, now, if we have some areas that we're able to preserve that, okay, so area, then we'll have some people that will be going there to visit it. And then when they visit those areas, they'll be able to pay some money, and it will be part of a revenue generation to the state. You see, let me give you an example.
Before you give us that example, let me go on a quick break, sir. I have to go on a break, and I come back, we'll take that example.
You said?
Let me go on a quick break. When I come back, we'll take that example.
Okay.
Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So, Honorable, you were going to give us an example before we went on the break. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, the example I wanted to cite was the fact that 3 days ago, our President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, appreciated one of our students in abroad. And he wanted that they should not compensate him. And our president was able to emulate this kind of student, and he was able to appreciate this kind of student. I think what we need as a Lagosian, as Nigeria, is morale, to build our morale. All these things should be in the media space. People should promote this kind of ideas. You know, our children today in Lagos that are practicing autism, it's because they don't have a good orientation. We have to change the orientation of our people. We have to reorientate them. We need to teach them, put them in the right direction. Some people need orientation. Some people need counseling for them to be on the right path.
Right.
So
okay.
I want to say that when you talk about petroleum, I want to say that, well, it's the issue of the federal government. Probably they have, although they might be on throat hardship right now in Nigeria, but the federal government will not fold its arm and allow the economy to crumble. And that is when you talk about tax. In Lagos State today,
all right,
they have been given so many exemptions.
I have very little time.
When it comes to tax, yes, they have been given so many exemptions. Now it's supposed to end like something like March. They're giving them another 2 weeks, giving them another one. About 3 consecutive times they've been extending this is their filing of taxes. They've been extending it for them so that they will have there will be a kind of relief for all these people so that we will not to put them into.
All right. Let me get one question in for you, sir. Go ahead.
Sir, you keep saying rewrite history. There is nowhere in the world you can rewrite history. I think that there are 2 things that happen with history. You either let it motivate you if you teach the students. I didn't do history because I was a science student. And I think that I suffered from not knowing my sense of identity well enough as an African. That rather than we spending and expending our money and time and resources to tear down monuments, we should create the future rather than rewriting the history. History is gone. It's in the past. I would rather you, the deputy leader in the Lagos State Assembly, would come up with policies to create a desirable future by teaching the children their past and letting them know that we must build up from this place, as opposed to doing that. I do not agree with pulling down this at this time. I don't think it is the most important thing for us to do, sir.
All right, sir. So I want to quickly ask, because for me, I just want you to clear something. Is this not like a hypocritical move? Because we are thinking of pulling down foreign statues and monuments. Meanwhile, the lawmakers do not want to patronize locally made, locally assembled vehicles. We want the very foreign, classy furniture and all of that. So are we not, are we not
talking both sides of our mouth?
Talking with, yes, two sides of our mouth.
Also pull down the monuments of Nigerian accomplices to slavery. Because there are known Nigerian accomplices to slavery who also have monuments outside that their wealth was made from slavery. So if you pull down the whites, would you pull down the blacks that are also accomplices in slavery?
Yeah. Do you want me to answer on the issue of the vehicle that you talk about?
Yes, sir.
All of them together. Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You see, when we talk about this vehicle that you are talking about, the question we ask ourselves is, how many indigenous companies do we have in Nigeria today that can actually produce vehicles that the whole ministry in the state, in the whole state in Nigeria, will be able to make use of? Or the whole federal government ministry, they will be able to supply all the ministries of federal government states in Nigeria.
They can.
We have that. That's the first question. Okay, fine. If we say, okay, we have Innocent Motors. Sometimes last year, this House of Assembly sent a delegation to Innocent Motors that we want to purchase some buses from there. And when we got there, they said we'll have to make some payments and we'll come back in some months' time before we'll be able to collect those buses. But in the House of Assembly here, we just got our financial autonomy in 2019. You understand? Purchase capital, this thing by ourselves. But what we are saying is, when we go there, they say we have to, but we on our own, what we'll do is, some people will supply us in advance and we'll pay on instrumental basis. But they are saying we'll have to pay and we'll have to hold on for some months before we'll be able to get back this vehicle, before we're able to get this vehicle that we want to purchase from them. You see, what I'm trying to say is what you have said has been noted. What the Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Noheem Adams, what he has been clamoring for from day one is, please, let us always patronize our local people.
Made.
It is very important. It's a way to
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, sir.
These are part of its own moves. So I want to say that, like you talk about us, okay, if you look at it now, all the trainings that we as of assembly that we have been organizing, it has been given to local people.
Yeah.
There was one that we held.
Unfortunately, I run out of time, sir. I do have to let you go. I do apologize for that. But I think we've gotten the point concerning the monuments in Nigeria, and I only hope that the House deliberates on this properly and then do what is in the best interest for Nigerians, actually. That's all we can take. I know that also the federal government ordered Toyota cars, and it took them months to get it. So it's not just innocent. And I proudly say it every day that TVC, all our official vehicles are innocent. And because we support Nigerian brand, that's what we're trying to do. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
You can watch Your View on TVC every Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Nigerian time on DSTV channel 418, GOTV channel 27 and channel 47, StarTimes channel 121 and channel 307, Play TV channel 801 and channel 190, UHF 49, Sky channel 515 for UK viewers. Watch live on Facebook at TVC Connect and on our website tvcentertainment.tv/livestream.